Do you know that in 2022 we had more than 8 million voters who did not turn up to vote? And if you could turn up to vote on that particular day, that means it would have made a difference. And we are here today to discuss how your vote actually travels from the polling station, either to Bomas or it disappears somewhere between or around your polling station. Every 5 years, we wake up, we go in queue, we sweat in those queues, and then we argue online. At the end of the day, we say that Kurangu iliibiwa. And so we are here to discuss that. So in 1988, we had a system called mlolongo system. In this system, people are queuing behind the preferred candidates. During that particular time, we had one party state. Then it came in 1991, after now repeal of the section 2 of the constitution, where now we reintroduced the multi-party system. This actually opened up the political space. The turning point was in 2010 when we promulgated the Constitution of Kenya. It emphasizes on the right-based political participation. It also emphasizes on the inclusion of special groups. We have the youth, we have the women, we have persons with disabilities, then we have people from ethnic minorities. Those are the special interest groups as envisioned in the Constitution. We established a body that manages elections, that is IEBC. Even though we still had I before EBC, that is independent, right? People still have trust issues with the independent part of it. For us to believe in this, we have a constitutional background for this. And it's anchored under Article 1 of the Constitution, where it talks about sovereignty of the people. You've seen a clip going around saying that people, which means mandatory. Yes. But now for this, people may exercise their powers either directly or indirectly. So that means part of your powers you have delegated to someone that you go every 5 years to elect, that you consider your savior. But your powers is always inherent. It is never taken away. Article 38 also, it guarantees your political participation. That means you have the right to participate as a candidate. You have all rights to participate as a voter in this particular process. When we talk about elections, it's a whole cycle, which means it begins from registration as a voter. There's that aspect of nomination during campaigns. There's voter tallying during elections day. There's petitions. There's also reforms that are part of these particular processes. The new constitution established a body that manages elections with a number of functions. It does voter registration. I'm sure you've seen voter registration drives going around. Now we have two types of voter registration that IEBC usually conducts. One, we have the continuous voter registration that is currently happening, and it happens constituency IEBC office. We have the enhanced voter registration drives. These are usually close to elections, whereby now IEBC calls for people to go and register for those who have not registered. And it's usually, IEBC usually takes around their registration kits to various places. In your villages, you'll see IEBC coming around with kits. But at the moment, they are doing the continuous voter registration. Now that particular picture or image, it illustrates what happened during within the polling station. Once the voter enters the polling station, your information is verified both in the computer and in the manual register. Once you are verified, you are given or you are issued with 6 stamped ballot boxes, and then you proceed. Unaenda kwa kona fulani hapo kana kuanga ni wewe tu na hiyo kura yako. Now that is where now a lot of introspection happen. A lot of people get to that particular corner that is isolated. Wanafikiria nilikula 50 bob ya mse fulani, acha tu nimpe kura. When you are marking that particular ballot, you are choosing someone who is gonna make decisions on your behalf for the next 5 years. We know how hard it is or impossible it is for us to impeach an MP. It is impossible at the moment. That decision is very important. So once you mark it, then of course you proceed to cast your vote. Kama ni karatasi ya pink ya women rep, enda unatupa kwa box ya pink. And then of course ukimaliza unakuwa marked on your finger. with an indelible ink, and then of course you leave. In that particular room, it's not only the IEBC officials. I'm sure you've seen other people around there. We have party agents in that room. We have candidates agents. We have also election observers. Voting opens from 6 a.m. inafungwa 5. So once elections is over, now we proceed to voter tallying. Voter tallying is now wanafunganga, they usually close the polling station, wanafunga milango, then wale watu wako ndani wanafanya nini? They now proceed to tally the votes. So we take an example of presidential elections. The presiding officer, after tallying imeisha, amesema in this particular polling station, Wajakoya, for example, amepata kura 200. They record that in form 34A. And then anascan na hiyo system yao, your tablet, and then they send that to the returning officer. That is at the constituency level. That is sent at the constituency level for, of course, tallying. At the constituency level, returning officer now collects zile results ambazo ziko kwa form 34As in that particular constituency. The totals is filled in form 34B. From 34, he scans again and sends now to the either Bomas ama IEBC, now to the national level. We were somewhere and we were asking one of the polling or presiding officers that once you scan that particular form, where do you think unatuma hizo results zinaendanga? Akasema hatujui. Wanajua vinaenda kwa server somewhere. Now, at the polling center, it is sent to the returning officer at the constituency level. Then constituency level, they scan and send it to the national level. Before sending, the returning officer usually declares the winner. For instance, during 2022, in a particular polling station, there is the returning officer has declared that either Rao or Ruto was winner in that particular polling, in that particular constituency. That was final. And this is actually taking us to a very important case. It is called Maina Kiai case. I'm sure you've heard about this a number of times. Now, this particular case, Maina Kiai and others, in 2016, they went to court. Of course, the issue was whether National Tallying Center can alter constituency results. Sikunaro wasema kura inaibiwanga. Now I want to see whether inaibiwanga ama hapana. The court, that was the High Court, it ruled that the constituency returning officers' results are final for presidential elections. The National Tallying Center cannot either correct, hata kama inaandikwa vibaya, it cannot correct or alter the results for president. It only collects, it tallies. Either Chebukati, that was then, now it is Electoral, who is the chair, declares that so-and-so is the winner. Before the chair, the IEBC chair declares the president, they usually waits for the physical from 34B. Iletwe, itoke kule Mandera, iletwe, ndo wafanye hesabu. But usually there is that, kuna ile wanakuanga wamescan. Those are only provisional, but they usually rely on the physical forms. Wakisema result zimeibiwa ama kura imeibiwa, itakuwa imeibiwa either huko chini kwa polling center. Hapo ndo maybe inaweza kuwa imeibiwa. And then, so this particular case, it laid a very important point in terms of tracking the presidential votes from the polling center to the national level. You remember when they carried evidence in boxes? It was brought actually in a lorry. That presidential election dispute, it went to Supreme Court. Reasons why they went to court was that there was illegalities and irregularities in the elections. Another reason was that Chebukati announced elections results of the winner without having received all the Form 34Bs and other reasons. In the ruling of the court, it ruled that irregularities and illegalities were committed that particular election, and therefore it violated the constitution. We are very young in democracy, but we are also progressive in nature. It is very important for us to participate in the process. Those people that we are electing, they are making important decisions that affect our lives, either directly or indirectly. Whether you have interest in politics or not, it will always have interest in you. I mean, if you don't vote, someone else will. Chances are they don't think like you, they don't act like you, they don't behave like you do, or what you believe in. It is your chance. The process is always interested in you. Thank you so much.